This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
GSMC Sports Podcast presented by GSMC Podcast Network. My name is Chris Blades. And before I get started here today, I want to make sure I take the time to remind you guys, as always, if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you never miss an episode. Make sure you're always on top of when we drop our latest stuff. Also, if you like what you hear today, like you've heard on past episodes, please give us a 5-star rating. Write us a nice review. It'd be very appreciated, very helpful. I'll see what you guys like, what you guys dislike, the ways we can improve, all that fun stuff. And also, if you're on social media, we're on social media. You can find us there, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We can talk, we can chat, we can debate, we can discuss. And it seems like there were some discussions that were made within the Washington front office over this weekend. And now it is being reported that Monday morning, the Washington football team will officially announce that they will be changing their nickname, though no new name will be revealed just yet, a source confirmed Sunday night. I'm reading this on ESPN. But I think it was someone from Sports Business Daily, Ben Fisher, who works for the Sports Business Journal and writes for Sports Business Daily. He was the first one on, and then obviously everyone else picked it up after that. So shout out to Ben Fisher. But yeah, this is not something that wasn't expected. As the article goes on to say, it's been widely expected that the Washington would change its team name. And one source said Saturday night that an announcement of a new name would come soon. As I said, Sports Business Daily first reported it. And there's no name on the, I guess there's no name to be determined or to be put out there as of Monday morning. At least at this moment, we'll see if anything changes between now, or well, you guys are hearing this on Monday, so we'll see if anything by the time you guys hear this, if any official name has come out. But it doesn't seem like there will be. As we talked, was mentioned a little bit as we kind of discussed through the different episodes from last week, Adam Schefter reported that the Washington franchise would not use any Native American imagery. Washington's logo of a Native American chief, of an American Indian chief, was designed by a Native American in 1971. And another source told ESPN that the plan as of now is to retain the franchise's use of burgundy and gold colors. Coach Ron Rivera said that the team wanted to include the military in its new name as well. But yeah, the article goes on to say some other things I've talked about. A bunch of people wanting to pull out wanting to pull their money out of the franchise, not support the franchise in different ways, because it seems that's kind of where we're at in the country now, is that if you don't support something, or you're trying to boycott something, or trying to force some sort of change, the most effective way to do that is to the pockets, as I said originally with this thing. Dan Snyder wasn't going to change unless his money was hurt, and obviously once the money started getting hurt, and then obviously FedEx wanted to pull out, and everybody, minority owners wanted to sell their stakes, all that stuff started happening. Boom. Bam, now all of a sudden the team name's going to be changed. It only took however long. And like I said, it was only as I said on the podcast a couple episodes ago, it was 2013 where he said that it was never going to change, or it didn't matter what happened. But now here we are, 2020, and things change. The time changes, the climate changes, society changes, and they're less willing to look past certain things now. And that's kind of where we are at this point in this country. Not to go too far in that, we'll stick it to the sports. But yeah, just where we are right now. And like again, the people are realizing, or the people, I should say, are realizing the power that they think they at least have. Obviously, again, the ones with the actual power can influence the change. That's like lawmakers, that's wealthy people, congressmen, presidents, things, governors, people on those levels are really the ones with the power, because they can, or owners, commissioners, things like that. They control everything in terms of like they control like the way different leagues maneuver, the way different states maneuver, and things like that. And obviously, you're seeing that as we go throughout the country with the Rona response. Every state, every city, even depending on within the same state, is reacting a little differently, and that's due to the leadership that they have. And while that is true that the leaders do have a lot of power, the people have the power because they put them in that position. So if the people decide that they don't like something or they don't want something, they can use that power to force a change that they want to see. And again, people had talked about this. So this is not necessarily that same situation, because they had been talking about this for years, and it wasn't until the powerful people, like the FedExes, the Nikes, the Pepsis, the NFL, stuff like that they were the ones on Dan Snyder's back about it, that it changed. But we're here now. And again, a lot of it is due to the outrage of the people in the country about a multitude of things. So, like I said, the people did help, but again, being able to hit Daniel Snyder in the pockets, and that's where the high-level people come in. That's really where it was able to make this change, because again, it's just something that I didn't think I would see anytime soon. Again, I figured it was going to happen at some point. They've been talking about this for years, and it should have been changed years ago. Again, once anybody, I don't want to say anybody because it's not just a one-person thing, but once a group of people determine that they don't like it, no matter how big or how small it is, it's just like there's no real reason to keep the name, honestly. Because as we discussed on an earlier episode, the people have the memories tied to the players and what they did, not necessarily like if you change the name, it's not like the history goes of the franchise goes away. The franchise still exists. It just again has a different name. It's not that serious. It's not even like they're moving, like we saw with like Houston Orioles became Tennessee Titans, or like what was it? The Colts originally moved to Cleveland. The Baltimore Colts originally moved to Cleveland, I think. That's how the Cleveland Browns, and I didn't. You know what I mean? Like people. I'm pretty sure it's Baltimore Colts. Excuse me. But yeah. So like I said, people move around. Like that's a little different. This is just them changing. This would be like if or even like in Minneapolis, they changed went from Minneapolis to LA Lakers and everything. Like it's not like the Minneapolis part of their franchise is gone. It's just that again, it's just something different now. People still are like not that many people now remember that, but if you were around during that time, you remember that. Like, then you were displeased that the team moved. But again, it's the same point. You have the memories tied to the players, not necessarily the name of the franchise. Just because the Washington football team is going to change the name does not mean everything that happened before that gets erased. So we will see. But I will say on the team name change front, there have been some interesting names and some interesting designs too. I know I saw one today. I think it was for the Red Wolves, I believe. That like a cool, it was like a W, and then had like the middle where like the two V's connect, which is a separate point. But the fact that it's called a W and it's like, and most of the time when you draw it, it's like looks like two V's connecting, is one of many issues that I have with the English language. But that's neither here nor there. So in like the middle where the two U's or V's, whatever you want to call them, connect. That looked like the state capitol building, I believe, and then like it was like a wolf like howling into the night. It was a really cool design. Honestly, again, they're not gonna go with it, but it was a really cool design. So that's the thing. And then, again, if they're gonna keep the burgundy and gold, like all right, then that kind of, I don't say that limits the team names, but again, you're not thinking of you're not thinking of like the Washington like Falcons or like the Washington Well, again, all these team names exist, but you're not thinking of the Washington like the Black Panthers, like something like that, like where your name is tied to a color, outside of red, because again, it's going to be burgundy and gold. No, burgundy and Burgundy and gold, yeah. So, as long as, like, if you want to do red or, like, a yellow or a gold or something like that, alright, you're good. But I don't think they're going to do that. So, the Red Wolves, like I said, the design was cool. Don't think they'll go with that. I still think Red Tails should be the leader in the clubhouse, personally. Because, again, it has ties to the military. Has red in the name. And if Dan Snyder cared about the optics, which he doesn't, but if he did, then during this time, the Red Tails and highlighting black people's impact on wars and on the military, even if they were, I mean, they had a movie about them recently enough, so they're getting more recognition than the Tuskegee Airmen, but again, military, a lot of black military when they came back home did not get the same reception as some of their counterparts that also were in the military, but that's neither here nor there. But I'm just saying, if you wanted to kind of get back in the good graces of the people, this would be an easy win to do. And like I said, it has ties to the military, the name fits, you don't have to change the colors up, you got to just change the logo and everything to still keep the R. So, again, that seems like a pretty simple fix. I don't know if they want to go, I know, like you said, the Harlem Globetrotters are willing to give them, like, the Generals. You can't do, like, Capitals or Nationals or whatever. I guess you could do, like, I know, so, like, I'm trying to think of what other names. Like, Generals was the one, a common one I saw, like, military related. Okay, you can't do, like, because anything else, like, you can't do, like monuments or, because even, like, that's the funny part is that the baseball, like, the Nationals, obviously, and then the Capitals, like, those are both, like, tied to, like, some sort of government or country thing, but then the Wizards are just, like, pretty random when you think about it. Like, again, Wizards have, unless there's some secret wizardry going on in the government that I don't know about, which, if there is, I would love to read about, so please send me those links. And that's just kind of a random one, so if they want to do a random one, they could, but again, if they want to do, so that'd be like the Red Wolves. Like, the Red Wolves have nothing really to do with anything Washington, even though the team's not even in Washington, D.C., which is, like, the funny part. But again, not every team plays in that. The Giants and the Jets both say they're in New York, but they both play in New Jersey. Very, very weird. To me, at least. Maybe no one else cares, but it's always bothered me that they don't play in the city or the state that they don't even play in the same state that they claim to be from, let alone the city. Well, that's whatever. I think the stadium's in, like, Landover or whatever, so it's not even in like DC. But yeah, so you want to do, like, Red Bulls because, again, that has no ties to, like, anything like political or government related, kind of like the Wizards. That'd be a cool thing. Again, you can keep the colors, do everything like that. But if you want to do something military related, I still think Red Tails is a good name, quality name, has a quality history. No one's gonna get mad at you. You're not gonna have to change the name again in, like, 20 years. Like, that should, like, you don't want to, like, pick a name where everyone's just gonna be mad all over again. Like, you want to pick something in theory that people are gonna want to be proud to say or proud to, like, have them memorabilia. Not that they aren't proud now, but again, you're not worried about offending anybody, stuff like that. So I think we'll do something military related. Red Tails seems like the way to go. And I'm just going Red Rules just based on the one logo I saw because it was pretty dope. So that's kind of where I would go. But again, we'll see. There's no real rush. I mean, well, I don't want to take that back. There is kind of a rush because, well, assuming there's a season, which there's a rush in terms of, like, you want to get this done before the season starts because they got to change some things up. You would think, because they're not selling the jersey. I don't know how they can then play in the jerseys once the season starts. So you think you're going to want to give Nike time to, like, create all new memorabilia and jerseys and equipment and potentially changing logos, stuff like that. You don't want to give them as much time as you can on that. So you think you want to get this done sooner rather than later. But then at the same time, again, the season doesn't start next week, so you don't, like, need an immediate answer. So, like I said, we'll see if there's anything comes of the Monday, I guess, press conference or whatever they have, virtual situation, whatever they have to make this announcement that they're going to change the name. See if anything comes out of that. See if they mention any names that could be in the running, stuff like that. But yeah, any other news that comes from this or whenever they do change the name, we'll be back here to talk about it. So yeah, we'll just stay tuned and wait for that. And speaking of names, the more players have come out and said different things that they're going to put on the back of their jersey. to potentially, not to potentially, but to replace their last name once they return. And once the bubble on Disney Invitational, as I like to call it, starts up. And what was it about? I guess in a couple weeks now, because end of July. Say a couple weeks. Slowly but surely getting back to sports, even though again MLS has been back, so that's the first male team sport back. So shout out to them and their games every night. I mean, I heard the little bubble concerns early, but nothing new has come out in terms of in the negative to make it seem like all this bubble idea is not going to work. So shout out to them on that. But yeah, so I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And also, LeBron talked, and he kind of talked about this, so we'll talk about his comments as well and his opinions on it. So discuss all that right after the break. Stay right there.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And we are back again on the GSMC Sports Podcast, by GSMC Podcast. So, we're not going to, this is not something I'm going to be talking about every episode. Obviously, we talked about just the NBA doing this and how I didn't really think it was that meaningful and all that stuff. But I'm not going to sit here and recount all right, this player is going to have this on the back or that player is going to have that. That's not really something I plan on doing or want to do, but I figured I would kind of just talk about all this in one foul swoop, if you will. So it seems like a lot of players are choosing to wear different NBA-approved messages on the backs of their jerseys. According to an article from ESPN about, it was about Anthony Davis putting his own last name on, or keeping his own last name on the back of his jersey, I should say. They said as of Wednesday afternoon, so I guess even though this article came out at 8:30 today, I guess as of Wednesday, whenever they had, this is the last time they had discussed it. Where is it? 285 of the expected 350 eligible NBA players had picked a social justice message to put on the back of their jersey, while 17 had opted to continue to use their names. NBA Executive Director Michelle Roberts told ESPN's The Undefeated. So, didn't realize it was that many, so that's interesting. A lot of people are taking this opportunity to put whatever message they see fit on the back of their jersey. Again, I hate most of the messages, but that's just me. Again, these people feel differently. One person, I should say, on this on my side, because Anthony Davis said that he's keeping his last name on the back, but it's more so for family reasons, because he likes to represent his family out there when he's on the court, is LeBron. And now, this is interesting, because LeBron did a whole media session. He said some other things, too, which were kind of a bit of a mess. But one of the things he talked about was that he was going to keep his last name on the back because the approved messages didn't support or didn't really resonate with his mission. Is what he said. Paraphrasing here, but that's basically what he said. Is that they didn't resonate with his mission. And honestly, when it first came out, I get this was everyone was like, "Oh, LeBron, what are you doing? You're supposed to be all about this and all about that, and you're not going to put anything on the back of your jersey." Blah, blah, blah. And everyone was kind of all up in arms about him, even though, again, he's done a lot. He's still doing a lot, the whole voter suppression thing that he's working on now, voter suppression initiative he's working on now. Again, he's done a lot for black people everywhere, black people in Akron. Like I said, his record is pretty good. But again, when that happened, everyone's confused. But then when he explained it, it made a lot of sense to me, because this has been my issue with it from the beginning, was that basically he was saying that like he had a couple messages that he thought about, and he was like, all right, it'd be cool if I said this or I said that kind of thing. But once he got the list, and I guess he saw what was eligible or what was approved, he was like, all right, then I don't want to go with one of these messages that doesn't really get out what I want to say. And with him, I understand that. And it's interesting though, because like apparently he said that he wasn't consulted on like what his opinion on the messages were. Though again, I don't know how involved he is with the Players Association. Even though Chris Paul is the president, I'm pretty sure, and that's his voice, so they could have run something by him, you would think. But again, if he's not involved, then they're not really required to like get him involved. If that makes sense, I don't think. Like it's not like you have to. If Chris Paul or Kyrie or whoever was involved in these discussions was like, hey, look, these are good, then I don't know if you have to be like, LeBron, are you cool with these? Like, I don't think that's necessary. No, I mean, he's the most important player in the league, so there is that. But I understand, because then if you ask him, then it's like, all right, then why would you ask Giannis, or why would you ask Kawhi or Harden or Russ? Like, it gets to be a slippery slope. So I understand that aspect of it. But again, his problem, it seems, again, I don't want to put words in LeBron's mouth, but his problem seems to be my problem, was that it just feels kind of to the whole thing. Because that was my whole issue this whole time, was the fact that, like, if you're going to have these players put these messages on the back of their jerseys, cool. Like, I was whatever about it, but like, I understood. I was like, all right, cool, this is one thing you can do, fine. But then, if you're going to do that, then just have them all submit their messages. They'd be like, all right, we need these submitted to your owner, GM, whoever, player, I mean, like your player rep for the Player Association, or your team rep, I should say, for the Player Association, whoever you want to give it to. And then, like, you give them a list, and then, like, the NBA is like, yeah, nope, yeah, stuff like that. They just go down the list and approve the messages. I feel like that would have been better and more personal to me. Because again, when you're giving, what was it, like 300 plus players, eligible players, 29 messages in total, I believe was the number. It just like it's going to feel rather redundant. Again, not that people wouldn't have had the same messages anyway, but I just feel like everybody resonates with this moment and with the situation and with everything that's going on differently. No, I don't expect two people, even if they're both African American, to feel exactly the same on every single issue, or want to support the exact same message, or want to put the exact same thing on the back of their jersey. I wouldn't expect that. But then I guess, like I said, see that there's only 29 different messages. Like, seeing, like, it always kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and it clearly LeBron felt the same way, which is why the jersey thing is going to, not that it's going to fall flat, but just like it just feels very performative is a good word I found to use for it. Just performative. It's just like, in theory, it makes you look like you care, but like, again, the fact that you're like, you can only do these certain things, is like, all right, well, then now you're, I don't say censoring, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but then now you're limiting the creative ability and then the messages that these players can get out. You're just like, all right, we know these aren't like controversial, or like these won't like rile anybody up, though again, the phrase Black Lives Matter already riles people up, though again, not to go too quick on this, but like the organization and like the words and like quote unquote movement are like separate things. So, and a lot of people try to conflate them and say that they're all one. They're not. Yeah, so it's just like there's already certain things that people are going to see and get upset about. So like, if that's what you're worried about, like, yeah. And also, like, when you see like, when you look at some of the names or some of the things, and it's like, see us, like, hear us, like, listen to us, stuff like that. And I'm like, you say those things, but then also your own league is like, we see that you guys want to do this, but we're not going to let you do it the way you want to do it. And it seems kind of odd to me. I guess that's a good word for it. Odd. But again, maybe that's just me being cynical or whatever. But like I said, it seems odd. And I mean, well, at the very least, LeBron agrees with me. Because, like you said, it doesn't support his mission. Or they didn't resonate with his mission. Which is, I think, understandable. Because you can't expect every player to be like, all right, yeah, the message I was going to put is in these 29 things. That doesn't seem likely to me, especially when most of these things are kind of like whatever. Like, I don't know what he wanted to say, and I guess we'll probably never know. But I just feel like it would have been better off just having him submit the 2 or 3 things he was thinking about and be like, all right, yeah, you can put this one or you can put that one. I don't understand why it would have been. It seems like it would have been simpler than having to whittle it down to like 29 good ones, quote unquote, to get it that everybody would be happy with. Because again, now people potentially aren't happy. And like I said, it's not like that serious to me because it was all like performative anyway. But once I thought that you would be able to do whatever with it within reason. Again, I'm not just saying you don't have to get checked by the NBA. But I think it was a lot of it came from the meme that was floating around with like John Morant, where it said like it had like expletive and then like 12, obviously, and 12 being synonymous with the, well, at least in black culture. I don't know if everyone calls it that, but at least I know black people do. We call it please 12. Sometimes, again, not every time, but then like, so I think that kind of got like everybody scared, like, oh, people are gonna like say outlandish things, we can't like let them do that. But again, John Morant was never gonna say, he even had to apologize for that, which I think I mentioned, which was like odd, but whatever. So with that being said, I think that got the NBA scared. They're like, all right, we can't have people saying anything, which again is fair. I don't disagree that you can't just have people putting whatever on the back of their jersey. But at the same time, if you just be like, hey, you submit it and we approve it, then you don't run into that issue. Like, you're not worried about what they're going to put if you already know what they're going to put, which I guess is what they're trying to do. But again, you could have just got it. All you have to do is get it approved to say, like, you can't say this, and either they go back to the drawing board or they just like, all right, let's put my last name. Then boom, everything's good. But like I said, when you have people that want to maybe put out a stronger message and they can't because you don't allow them to even have the opportunity to, because it wasn't included in the pre-approved messages. And like I said, the whole thing falls. The fact that it's pre-approved already falls flat, but just like, again, when you don't even completely consult all the players on it, and this is an issue that you would think all the players have varying opinions on, it seems a little interesting. Now, I mean, again, I'm really shocked that that's true, that LeBron didn't have any input on it, but hey, maybe he didn't. Wouldn't think that seems like a weird thing to lie about. So there's that. But on the flip side of that, I will say a shout out to Kyle Korver a little bit, because I'm not say like this is like the greatest thing ever. Like, that's what I was trying to make it seem like I wasn't saying it like that. But it is cool that he's gonna put Black Lives Matter on the back of his jersey. I know he wrote a piece for I think it was the Players Tribune back in April. Where is it? I'm trying to find this article about it. No, but yeah, I think it was back in April, and that he wrote a big thing for it says Players Tribune titled "Privilege" on April 9th of 2019, which kind of was so this was April a year ago. I thought this was recently. All right, okay. But yeah, so this is April 8th, 2019. But I guess this was I think it was on the Bucks at this time, and I know they had issues with, like, Sterling Brown had an incident at that point. I know that was a flow. I don't know if he was on the Bucks at that time, but I know he had an incident with NYPD, and it was just, again, touching on his white privilege and racism in his first person essay. So the fact that he's now is continuing to, like, that wasn't just like a one-off, like, oh, I realize that this is cool, and then, like, I'm going to talk about it, and then, like, I'm going to forget it. Like, no, this is still something that he feels is important for him to get out and say that, like, look, I understand where I am in society and where my people are at in society, where not everybody may have the same chances or opportunities that I may have had. Well, again, that's just some white people didn't have the same opportunities he had. So that's just not necessarily a race thing, but and definitely not less. I don't know the exact statistics. I don't want to speak in absolutes, but there is an inherent privilege that white people, especially white males, have in this country over everybody else. So it's cool for him to continue to acknowledge that. And yeah, just putting Black Lives Matter on the back of your jersey, especially as a white player, it's a cool thing. Like I said, not really that doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. Good for him, but like I said, just a cool moment. So, like I said, I don't really think I'm going to touch on this too much unless some real like breaking news or some big news comes out about this. Because again, since I don't really like the idea, I could care less what the people put on the back of their jerseys. But I thought it was interesting that for LeBron's reasoning for why he didn't, because you would have thought like he's very outspoken, he would, but when you learn about the why, you're like, yeah, that makes total sense, at least to me. And basically, speaking of jerseys, the NBA is stopping the pregame runway walks, if you will. I don't know if you want to call them that, but again, a lot of people on their walk to locker room, they show off the drip that they have. You know, they're all like got the nice suits or nice shirts or like the special sneakers or the chains or hats, fedoras. I know that those were big for a while. Sunglasses, whatever they may have on, but it sounds like they're putting a stop to all of that and a little bit more. So we'll talk about all those wardrobe restrictions, if you will, right after the break. So stay right there.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Here again on the GSMC Sports Podcast presented by GSMC Podcast. Now, this is again from ESPN, like most of my things are. But yeah, when the NBA season resumes later this month in Orlando, one key element of the game night experience for both players and fans will be missing: the arena entry tunnel walk and spotlight on players' fashion. A new entry protocol finalized at the end of this past week's calls for players to be in uniform and warm-ups when they arrive to the game, sources told ESPN. Players will get dressed in full uniform in their respective hotel rooms at the trio of designated resorts at Walt Disney World, then board a team bus for an expected 15-minute drive to the ESPN wide world of sports complex, in HP Fieldhouse's primary game court. Photographers will be waiting as they disembark from each team bus, though each player will be outfitted with the same team-issued warm-ups that they'll then take the floor in for typical pregame stretching, layup lines, all that fun stuff. So when we're talking about players like Russ, PJ Tucker, Kuzma, Kelly Oubre Jr., Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from the Thunder, the arena entry fashion coverage has become a defining piece of their ongoing marketing profiles. Oubre and Gilgeous-Alexander both signed unique shoe deals with Converse, with the brand celebrating their off-court style just as much as their rise in play. Westbrook, as we all know, has been I don't say we all know. I know because I followed the Thunder, and he was on the Thunder for a lot of years, obviously. But if you didn't know, he's been a mainstay at Paris Fashion Week, and again, he's well known and it's been well documented the type of eccentric and outrageous outfits he's had for the various games, whether regular season or playoffs. Kuzma landed a Puma shoe deal and pays him more annually than his current Lakers salary, though. I think he was late first round pick, so that's not. I don't say that's not surprising, but again, it's not like he was like a top. If it was a top 5 pick and he was getting paid more from Puma than that, I'd be like, ooh, okay, that's some big money. But not that it's no money. I'm not trying to diminish the deal, but still, that is kind of, just regardless, it's interesting that he's getting paid more in endorsements than he is in salary. PJ Tucker Whereas different and rare coveted sneakers to each game, along with the full ensemble, flashy codes, jewelry, accessories, etc. The Rockets veteran still plans to flex his endless sneaker game while arriving in team warm-ups, and will likely carry his game shoes in hand. Something if you know anything about PJ Tucker, you know he loves his shoes. I think his closet is extensive. The type of shoes that he has, the type of shoes that he wears are very extensive, and a lot of them are very rare, where you can't really get them. Well, he can get them because he's an NBA player, but like the average person would not be able to find these sneakers. He's not getting just like the typical sneakers that drop, or even like the one, like I'm saying, I think the Dior ones were like the most recent. I'm not a big sneakerhead guy. Not that I don't like wearing sneakers. I just don't like spending a lot of money on them. So I think the Dior Jordans were the recent ones, and that's something that a normal person could get. And again, you have to do like the bots and the raffles and all the weird stuff that you have to do in order to get sneakers these days. But those aren't even the type of sneakers I'm talking about. And those are rare, very rare, especially they resell for a lot if you were able to get them. But those aren't even the sneakers I'm talking about. We're talking about like exclusive, like PEs and like different types of sneakers that like very few people on earth will have. Those are the kind of sneakers that PJ Tucker shows up to the game in. And those are the kind of sneakers that he has in his closet from, again, the stories and things that I've read about PJ Tucker and his wardrobe. So he said that that he thinks it takes away from originally what getting dressed was all about. It wasn't even about the tunnel walk. It was more about getting dressed up and going to work. To me, it's like a mindset, getting dressed and getting ready to go to my game. It puts me in the mindset and that I'm ready to work and helps me find my focus. One key element that led to the change, sources told ESPN, is the fact that team locker rooms on site are not equipped with showers, which is weird. But again, most of these things house like younger sports, so or most of these things are mainly used for like younger sports, like kids, like AAU tournaments, things like that. So I'm trying to think. I don't really think I had a shower in my. I'm trying to think if my middle school had a shower in their gym. I really don't remember. They might have. Well, I think it only because it used to be a high school. And I know my high school did, and I imagine like obviously colleges do and stuff like that. But if it's, I'm trying to think even like, well, again, I didn't never go to any fancy AAU tournaments when I was still playing AAU. But I'm trying to think. I don't know if that's like showering after an AAU game is not like a common thing that I know of. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's not something. So again, showers in the locker rooms wouldn't really be that necessary. But yeah, so to minimize the chances of players changing in close quarters before and after games at the venue without showering, the decision was made to instead have them arrive ready to play in order to prioritize sanitation measures and social distancing amid the coronavirus pandemic, obviously. Players will depart the venue 40 minutes after each game to return to their hotel, which is a long time to not have showered, in my personal opinion. But hey. And, so yeah, it's an unfortunate part of the game that, well, actually, just one other quick thing before I go into my spiel. Getting dressed at the hotel now will feel like an AAU tournament, Tucker said. It's AAU Nationals, it's the Nike Super Showcase, and one of those tournaments that we used to play in back in the day. I'm not feeling it. It just doesn't feel like the NBA to me, but it is what it is. So, yeah, speaking of PJ Tucker, I imagine the Rockets have to be the team most upset by the fact they're not going to be able to get their fits off. And just a quick definition. If you didn't know what getting fits off is, just like, a fit is an outfit. An outfit's like what you would wear. And if you got a fit off, that means, when people say that, or you're trying to get a fit off, basically means you're trying to look really nice. It doesn't always work, but you're trying to get dressed up to look good. So if someone thinks that your wardrobe or your outfit looked good that day, they can say, not everybody will say, but they can say you got a fit off. Or if they think it doesn't look as good as you think it does, because obviously you put it on, so you think it looks good. Then like you're trying to get the fit off, but it doesn't really work. But yeah, so the Rockets, I mean, the wherever they come into the arena, like that, basically that's again, not that they're the only like arena like this, but I know they were famous for like that long runway walk from wherever they enter in, from like the team buses or wherever, or like I guess where they dropped off at, because I guess these are home games. Till they walk through the locker room, there's like a long runway that they walk down, and again, all their players were wearing whatever they want to wear, looking good, trying to look good at least. Like I said, that's all subjective, but they they won't have that anymore. And it's not that it's just the Rockets, but I imagine they have to be one of the top teams. They got, like I said, they got Russ, got Harden, who gets fits off too. Like I said, PJ Tucker. I know those are three of the more prominent wardrobe guys, at least in my mind, in the NBA. Again, like they mentioned, like the Kuzmas and the Kelly Oubres and the Shays and different other guys. Again, everybody, LeBron even, like he'd be trying to get fits off too. I'm trying to think of anyone else on the Lakers currently. I mean, JR be wearing some interesting stuff from time to time now that he's back on the Lakers. So it's him. I'm trying to think of anybody else like that really stands out to me as like a dresser. I don't really have. I mean, but yeah, everyone gets dressed in their own way. But I'm trying to think of like guys that like really, really stand out. I can't really think of any others at the moment. So again, if I miss somebody, please let me know. But yeah, I agree with PJ Tucker in the sense that like that was a cool aspect of the game, which is to see like, all right, what is Russell Westbrook or what is Harden or what is whoever? It could have been Steph Curry, like whatever. What are they going to wear to the game? Because it's a similar thing. Like you look good, feel good, play good. I forget where that saying's from or what movie or whatever. That's just always like been a common saying that's been said within sports. It's why people wear like wristbands and armbands and headbands and got the tights and socks and special things. Because again, whether or not that helps you play any better is like subjective. But if you feel like it helps you play better, then that's what matters. And again, if part of my getting into my getting into the zone for the game is me getting dressed up and putting on a nice outfit to go to the game, and now you're taking that away from me. Again, not that I don't think it'll affect anybody's play on the court, but I do think it is a thing that they're not going to be happy about. But again, there are worse things to be unhappy about at the current moment. So there is that. But it's going to be weird. Like I said, it makes sense, because especially if there's no like shower, so it's like, how are they going to change? And no one's gonna put on sweaty stuff. No one's gonna put on like clean stuff after you sweat. Like, why would you? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I understand why they do it. Because again, if there's nowhere to change, then like putting on my nice clothes after I've sweat for 3 hours doesn't seem to make any sort of sense at all. And then also, if there's not really that much space or place, or there's not really that many places to change, even from when you get into there, like when you get to and then you change out of, you want to put on your warm-ups, there's not really a whole lot of places to go to do that. So I can understand why, especially since everyone's getting there at the same time. Normally when you warm up, people get there at different times. Some people warm up really early, then they come back. Some people warm up really late. Like, everyone's kind of just going to have to warm up at the same time, so you don't have the time or the leisure to just be like, all right, I'm going to get in here, sit around, then I'll get changed, and I go warm up, all that stuff. Like, you kind of, because I think that the ships can be run a little bit tighter in terms of, because again, normally when you play a game, there's no other games going on that day. Now, there potentially is going to be a couple games going on at the same arena or in the same court that you're playing at. I don't know exactly, I'm still not 100% sure exactly how that schedule is going to work in terms of like the games and where they'll all be played. And, well, once the playoffs start, it'll be easier, but in the beginning, when there's like 22 teams and you gotta fit them all in on the same day, I'm not sure exactly how I forget exactly how that's gonna work. But again, you just don't have the luxury to just leisurely like get changed, or even like I said, the space to just get changed. So I understand why they had to do this, but it's unfortunate. I mean, well, they'll probably still find a way. They'll probably still take pictures in the hotel. Well, I guess they could. Because you use self-timer the iPhone, so that's how they do it, because again, you're not supposed to really have people around you. I guess, like, I think the media, I don't know if the media's, I'm pretty sure the media's staying in like separate places from the separate hotels from the players, which would make a lot of sense. But I'm trying to think. I'm curious how they're going to get to show off their fits. It'd have to be a self-timer, right? Because or like a selfie or like a mirror photo or something. It's not going to be the same. So even like, again, when they get off the bus, people take photos of them, they're going to be in warm-up. So it's like, who cares? No, I don't want to see. Everybody got the same warm-ups. So like, that's not special. I'm trying to see the drip. But yeah, no, it's unfortunate. But a lot of things are a lot of players are gonna have to make some adjustments to get like everything settled for this go around with this whole Disney Invitational, like I said, thing. So there's just one of the other things they're gonna have to get adjusted to. So, like I said, it's not gonna be a big deal, but I thought it was just interesting the fact that players are gonna have to do without the fancy fits for at least the couple months until they're done. Then they can get back to showing off and styling on people. So that works. But yeah, so after this next break, we're going to come back here and discuss the Pac-12. The Pac-12 decided to do something. I think it was Friday. I'll double check that, but they decided to do something similar to what the Big Ten did. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about if and when other conferences will make those same decisions, because they're probably going to have to. But yeah, so we'll discuss all of that right after the break. Stay right there.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's GSMCpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
GSMC Podcast Network. So, this was Friday. Yes, this was Friday. I know we talked about on the last episode, which aired on Friday, but wasn't recorded, obviously, on Friday, that the Big Ten was the first major conference to go to the conference-only schedule in the fall, at least for the time being, until they have to move to the spring, because, I mean, they're I don't know the future. Because if I did, I would have warned you guys about this and everything that's going on. But it just seems like the way things are going in the country right now, unless we make major strides in the next month and a half, 2 months, the likelihood of spring football, at least college-wise, seems almost impossible to me. Because again, it's just not gonna. A lot of schools aren't even having people. Well, I'm gonna say a lot of schools, but schools aren't. Not all schools are going to have people on campus. So how can you warrant having fall sports and having people play sports and be on campus for that, but not be on campus or take classes? It doesn't make any sense to me. Again, maybe that's just me. But yeah, so they're going to try to do the conference only thing until they eventually have to move to the spring, like the Ivy League has to do. But in the meantime, in between time, the Pac-12 has now voted to join the Big Ten in terms of playing a conference-only schedule in all sports this fall. They did that during a virtual meeting of athletic directors, university presidents, and conference officials on Friday. The Pac-12 CEO's group the Pac-12 CEO group's decision will delay the start of fall seasons, including football. One of the reasons the Pac-12 decided to push back the start of football season was a concern that UCLA and USC would not be ready to play in early September because of the coronavirus cases in the Los Angeles area, and really all across California is getting kind of bad. But I know like LA is starting to, they're like basically almost starting over, going back to like phase 1. It seems like, or it's something close to phase 1. I don't know if that's exactly what's happening, but it seems like from the bits and pieces I'm seeing from social media and stuff like that, they are struggling. The Bruins specifically were slated to open the season against New Mexico State at home on August 29th. The Trojans were scheduled to open against Alabama at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas on September 5th, which is going to be, Alabama's probably going to win, but it was going to be a cool matchup. USC AD Mike Bond, hopefully I pronounced that right, and I had multiple conversations over the last several months, and we were both planning on playing the football game on September 5th in Arlington. Alabama Athletic Director Greg Bryan, said in a statement, with the Pac-12 decision to move to a conference schedule, we will do our best to adjust. What that looks like is to be determined. Pac-12 decision to play only conference games means Notre Dame will not face USC for the first time since World War II. The Irish and Trojans have played each other every season since 1926, except for 1943 through 45 because of the war. Notre Dame will also lose its rivalry game against Stanford, which has played every game since 1988, except for in 95 and 96. Because of the Big Ten decision, Notre Dame's contest against Wisconsin at Lambeau Field in Green Bay also won't be played, as we discussed before. So Notre Dame just losing scheduled games left, right, and center. And really, if most teams and most conferences go to the conference schedule, which I think most of them will do, they're basically going to play nobody. I don't know how it's going. I don't know what their schedule is going to look like. But hey, I don't know why. I understand why they didn't join the conference. It's lucrative for them not to be in a conference. They had this exclusive deal with NBC and all that stuff. But it just proves hey, Notre Dame just join. I guess what the Big Ten probably makes a lot of sense, or Pac-12, since you have a lot of rivals out there with the Pac-12. Well, Stanford and USC mainly, and the Pac-12. It would make sense. I wonder what the armed forces are going to do too. I'm thinking about it now because you have Army, Navy, and Air Force, and I guess they can each play Notre Dame. Outside of that, they play teams in other conferences. No. Hold on. Let me not say that. I think Air Force might actually be in a conference. So let me see. Navy football schedule. So yeah, they play a red. Oh, so maybe a lot of their teams seem to be from. Oh no, they're in the American. Okay, so never mind, they're cool. Or are they? Let me make sure they're in the American. Navy football conference. Okay, so they are in the American. Interesting. Did not realize that. So Navy. So what conference is Army in? I'm going on a quick tangent here, but now I'm just curious because I forgot that they had been joining conferences. So yeah, really just Notre Dame is out of luck. Oh no, they're independent. Oh, okay, that's interesting. I know they're in the Patriot League for men's and women's basketball, but they're independent for football. Big yikes. And then what's Air Force? Air Force is in the Mountain West. So it's really just Notre Dame and Army that are going to be out of luck, potentially. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, so there is that. The Pac-12 move also creates scheduling dilemmas for BYU and Hawaii, which will both have to find new opponents for each of their first 4 games. As it stands now, neither school has a game scheduled until the first weekend in October. BYU is scheduled to play Utah, Michigan State, Arizona State, and Minnesota the first 4 weeks, and Stanford in their regular season finale, so their season's chopped. And Hawaii was slated to play Arizona, UCLA, Fordham, the Patriot League band flying for the upcoming season, so that's not going to happen, and Oregon. So, yeah, this is a mess. I think there are any other... Yeah, so obviously, we already knew Ohio State and Oregon wasn't going to happen, and as well as Michigan and Washington, because we had talked about that before. But yeah, so only other big games here, Stanford at Notre Dame at USC versus Alabama, also BYU, Utah, Oregon State, Oklahoma State, TCU at California, Colorado at Texas A&M, and Arizona at Texas Tech. But none of those games are really high profile games. But yeah, so like I said, if you want to read up more about the article, you can, like I said, it's on ESPN. Granted, you probably find it on any sports website. But I'm just looking at it on ESPN. Well, through the app, at least. So, yeah. Makes sense. I kind of figured, I didn't think it was going to happen the next day, but I kind of figured teams were going to follow the Big Ten's lead on this because, like I said, it seems like it's, in fairness to some of the players have made some jokes about it. They made jokes about, it's good to know that, like, the Rona can only spread through non-conference games and not conference games, which is, again, why I think they're going to have to push to the spring regardless. But at least for the time being, you have to act like, we're taking this somewhat seriously. We're not going to do this. We're going to just play all our conference games and stuff like that. Until, again, they're not going to be able to, because they're probably not. But, like I said, at least for the time being, you have to act like you realize that there's something going on. You can't just, like, the way the NFL is trying to do it is both reckless, but also, like, very much on brand. Because, I mean, in fairness, football is a reckless sport. But just because, like, they kind of just look at everything like they're above everything, and they don't have to worry about certain things and stuff like that, and they're just like acting like the virus doesn't even exist, like it's not going to cause any sort of scheduling issues at all. I mean, granted, the MLB is like still doing the flying thing, the traveling, but at least they're like, all right, you're only going to play teams in like the East or teams in the Central or teams in the West. You're not going to be flying cross country, stuff like that. So in theory, if like the East Coast has it all under control, then like they should be relatively fine, kind of stuff. And like same thing if the West Coast, same thing in the Midwest or the central part of the country. So yeah, like in theory, you're like, all right, that should work. So at least they're trying something. The NFL is like, we're going to play these 16 games. All they did was just cancel some preseason games. Regular season's still going on as if nothing's happening. And I'm just like, all right, come on, guys. Who are we kidding here? These college football have to take the step like, all right, we can't play every game. Like that's not going to happen. So let's just like say we're going to only play the conference games. Cool, that'll work until we can't. But yeah, so like I said, I eventually think some other conferences are having discussions about this early this coming week. The SEC is probably going to try to hold out. They're probably going to do the NFL thing, try to hold out as long as they can. I don't know about the ACC. I don't know about what's the other. I guess it was Pac-12, Big Ten, ACC, SEC. What's the other conference? I should know this. Big 12. The Big 12 got Texas, and Texas is kind of looking shaky right now. So they might probably have to do something too. Just go to the all-conference thing. Even though one of their coaches already said spring football might work. Again, the gist of it are a little weird. And we'll actually kind of discuss some of the decisions that will have to be made about that if that actually goes down from the player perspective. I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper. But yeah, so this doesn't surprise me. It won't surprise me when more conferences have to do it. Also, it won't surprise me when conferences eventually have to go to spring football, because this doesn't seem realistic to me at this current juncture. Again, if we make progress as a country, I mean, we saw that I think it was New Zealand. They officially lifted all like COVID restrictions because like their country is like COVID free. I think like some European leagues, soccer leagues, and different sports leagues are like allowing some fans back in because like they're COVID free. I mean, granted, the NFL is going to do the same thing, but that's stupid. I know Jamal Adams was off with it, like, hey, yeah, just let the fans decide like what they want. Like, no, that's not how this virus works. Because it's not like only the people that want to get it can get it. Like, they can literally pass on to people that don't want. Like, they can pass it on to literally anybody. So don't be like. And again, if you fill it up 25%, in theory, could you social distance? Yes. But again, I don't know how they're going to social distance at the concession stands. I don't know how they're going to social distance in the bathrooms. Don't know how they're going to social distance in the parking lot. Like, you have to put in a lot of restrictions in order to make sure that you're keeping it as safe as possible. Everybody got to wear masks, like different things like that. Which, I mean, again, not everybody wants to do. So there's that. But yeah, leaving it up to the fans is a terrible idea. Because we wouldn't, in fairness, most other countries that are kind of getting rid of this at this moment, they made sweeping decisions from the top down, and then everyone just listened. They're like, all right, okay, cool. I honestly, I mean, we'll never know, but I would like to think that had the president, I know it was like kind of like a big deal that he like wore a mask this weekend when he was like visiting people at like a hospital, which again he should be doing. But I know a lot of people, it was, like I said, just like a big deal, which is like a problem that we're 4 months into a pandemic and the president wearing a mask is like a big deal. But it was. For like everybody, both sides, I don't know, I hate calling them like left and right and stuff like that, but like the one side was like, oh, finally, like, thank you. Like, this is only what we've been asking for you to do. And if you had done this like 4 months ago, you might not be in this situation, because how you politicize a mask is like kind of impressive, honestly. This is not sports related, but like it's kind of impressive how we were able to divide the country on whether or not you should wear a mask. It's kind of sad, but also kind of impressive. Shows the level of division that is currently exists within this country. But yeah, but then on the other side, they were like, oh, he looks so like great, he looks so like presidential and all that stuff. I'm just like, dude, it's a mask. It's just a mask. It's not like anything special. It's literally just a mask. They also had the like presidential seals. Like, you knew they had these already. Like, it's not they just made them this weekend, which is like the funniest part. So he could have just been wearing these. Him and the vice president and like everyone in their administration could have just been wearing these the whole time, but they just chose not to. So that's cool. But yeah, we'll see what other when, and I was gonna say if and when, but it's not really more of an if, it's more of a when kind of thing at this point, unless again something drastic changes in the next 2 months, which I'm hopeful for, but I don't see it. So when these other conferences decide, like, yeah, we're probably going to do the conference only thing too, until again we get to the fall and they're like, you know what, we probably shouldn't play this. But at least for the time being, they're going to try to act like it's going to work, which again I commend. Just being like, look, we're just going to try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We're going to give it a shot. I can appreciate that as someone that is going to greatly miss football if it doesn't happen. You think, I mean, you talk about sadness from when like we spent the last 4 months with like no basketball and no playoffs, no finals, no baseball, whatever. Let there be no football. I'm going to be one sad individual, honestly, and I don't think I'll be alone up there. Me and my dad have already discussed it multiple times. And we were like mad or disappointed about the other sports, but like we were like, all right, we can get over it. Like, if there's no football, especially no like college and pro football, I don't know how I'm going to spend my Sundays. Because like that's, or my weekend really, because most of my weekend is spent watching college and pro football, whether at my house or out in public, at a bar, at a restaurant, whatever, with friends. Like, that's just what that's what most of my life has been. Well, if I wasn't playing like in high school, but once I got to college, then it was going to games or like watching them at bars or at people's apartments or houses, and then like Sunday just always obviously at home watching games, or going to games if I ever chose to do that. But yeah, so not having that, I don't know what I'm going to do on my Sundays and Saturdays in the fall. Granted, they're going to be free, but then if those aren't happening, then like where am I going? Because most other things probably won't be open. But you know, New York did have no COVID deaths apparently, though. Again, kind of sometimes they go back and like credit deaths to certain days. So that's, as of today, they had 0, but in a couple weeks they might have a couple from, I guess technically it was from yesterday. Okay, so shout out to New York and that. I know everyone's kind of split on like how Cuomo handled the thing, because you know all the nursing home stuff and everything. But I mean, to get down to that point from where they started, it was pretty impressive. But yeah, so back to the sports. So after this next break, we're going to come back and discuss. I'm going to do a little bit more bubble talk, NBA that is, and talk about some of the teams that can make those Cinderella runs. I feel like I've talked about like players that have a lot to prove and like teams that have a lot to prove and stuff like that, and interesting races and stuff like that. But I don't think I've ever like put any real weight on the teams. I think from like the 5 and down in each conference again, because if you're the Clippers, you're the Bucks, or you're the Raptors, or you're the Lakers, like you winning the title is not really that impressive. I mean, it's impressive, but like you're supposed to be there. Like if you win it from like a lower seed, that's more of a surprise, more of a Cinderella run. So that's what I wanted to discuss, the teams that I think could make that run if they get there. So we'll discuss all that right after a break. Stay right there.
Are you looking to get your college football fix? Looking to get the latest news on your favorite school's team? The GSMC College Football Podcast is your ticket to all things college football. Join us as we talk college football from the national championship, the college rivalries, the bowl game, to the Heisman Trophy. To which conference is the best? We've got you covered for the Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, the Pac-12, ACC, and everything in between. Download the GSMC College Football Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
We are back here again on the GSMC Sports Podcast presented by GSMC Podcast. So, Cinderellas. I mean, most of these will be from the West because the bottom half of the East is very shaky. I mean, you have the Nets that basically have half their team not going to be there due to various reasons. A lot of them the Rona, but for various reasons. Like I said, I don't know how many more players they could even afford to sign. I think they signed Jay Crossover, Jamal Crawford. They signed Beasley, unless there's a 5-game suspension, which is like a very Beasley thing to have happen from new back in the league with self-deserved suspension. And then I think they signed Lance Thomas too. They used to be on the Knicks. Just they needed somebody big with like no Claxton, no DeAndre Jordan. Like I said, obviously no KD, but like they need somebody tall. So their team looking shaky. The Magic, I think most of their team is fine, so they'll be fine. But again, they're 30-35, heading into the bubble, so not exactly having the greatest of seasons. And then the Wizards, who won't have Bradley Beal, which was like the main reason to watch the Wizards this year. So again, neither of those teams really have much of a chance to make the Cinderella run. I don't think. Again, crazy things have happened. 11 seeds, and then, 10, 11, 12 seeds, those type of teams have made deep runs in the NCAA tournament before. Again, it's not a one-game thing, but, there's a reason why Cinderella is a term for these runs, because it happens. It's not impossible. But just looking at the different, both East and West, the teams 5 and below. So, for the East, that's Pacers are at 5. Sixers are at 6. Though, again, they're currently tied, but I guess the Pacers have the tiebreaker. The Nets, Magic, Wizards. So, like I said, bottom 3 are out. Pacers won't have Oladipo. Not that that's going to matter a whole lot, because the team's still been good without him this year. But the hope was maybe they get Oladipo back, they get a little boost, all that stuff, and he's not going to play. So, now just going to have whoever they have, or everybody they already had, I should say, not whoever, but everybody they already had, so just like the same team. And, though, in fairness, we don't really know how that's going to shake out. Like I said, I think a while ago, I was talking about different storylines and stuff like that. Kind of the race for the 4 seed will be interesting between those two teams in the Heat. So, we may have to come back to this and change it, depending on who's the 5 and the 6. But when the playoffs start, because again, like a team I was going to say the Sixers, because I think if with Ben Simmons not healthy, even though, again, Brett Brown was talking about he wasn't going to play, he wasn't going to get like a whole lot of playing time in the beginning, just kind of easing back in, which, I mean, hey, do what you want to do, Brett. It's not my job on the line. But, yeah, so, we'll see if that's actually turned out to be true. But again, he was potentially going to miss the start of the playoffs, maybe even a little bit more, depending on his injury. Because again, he was hurt when the season was suspended, so who knows how ready he would have been for the start of the playoffs. So at least now he's going to be healthy. So there is that. Get him back, and Embiid had the time off. See how he was able to handle it. And just that, I just think if they can figure it out, which again is interesting term, just because. You can say that about a lot of teams, if the Celtics figure it out, or if the Heat figure it out, or the Raptors figure it out. You can say that about a lot of teams, but them specifically, when you have 2 of the arguably 5 best players in the conference, outside of Giannis, okay, you got currently in the thing, because obviously you got when you have KD and Kyrie and Bradley Beal and stuff like that, the though it's a little bit more difficult to say. But even then, they're still like top 10. They're both multiple All-Stars. But then again, all right, so outside of everybody on the other teams, who's better than them? 100%. Like Spicy P. Pascal, debatable. Kemba, Jason Tatum, debatable. Jimmy Butler, debatable. Oladipo, he's not playing. So I'm saying it's not like you could argue they have the second and third best player in the East. You could. I'm not saying they do, but you could at least make the argument. And I'm saying, as we saw with LeBron and his run, especially that last year in Cleveland, where he was just basically him and like everybody else on the Cleveland Cavs that year. Like sometimes having the best player is really all that matters. I think I forget if it was that year or a different year, which Rosen was like, if we had LeBron, we would have won. And I think in some cases that can be true. Just like especially in a sport like basketball, where one dominant player can really change everything for a team. Having two, again, granted, depending on how well they work together and blah, 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 and Embiid's talking about running the offense through him, and we'll see how it all plays out. But if they can find that right chemistry and that right mixture, having two of the best players in the conference on your team is going to be very important. Again, now you could say that the Celtics are a better team, or the Raptors are a better team, or even the Heat are a better team, and you could very well be right in that. But again, sometimes having the best player matters. Like I said, that first year with the Cavs, with the last year with the Cavs for LeBron, I would very much argue the Raptors were the better team overall that year. I think they even had a better record. I'd have to look it up. But I know their team's very good. Their bench was very good that year. They had Pascal coming off the bench, had OG Anunoby coming off. No, he was starting, I think, at that time. He started as a rookie, which is kind of crazy. Had Pirtle coming off the bench. I think had Van Vliet coming off the bench, Norman Powell coming off the bench. Like, they had some guys that were very instrumental to them winning a championship last year coming off the bench for that team, if I remember correctly. So again, please correct me if I'm wrong. I remember their bench was very good that they went like 10, 11 deep, which I mean they still kind of do. But they were a very deep team, which the Cavs weren't. But again, the Cavs had LeBron. And at the end of the day, it's really all that mattered. The Celtics, you could argue, I mean, no Kyrie and no Gordon Hayward, but like, you could argue they were the better team too. They could have easily won that series. But again, one team had LeBron, and that ended up making the difference. So I'm saying with the Sixers, having Ben Simmons and Embiid on your team, if you figure out everything else, could be the difference. They were a Kawhi 4 bouncer away from going to overtime and maybe winning that game and maybe going to the conference finals. And they would have played the Bucks, who maybe they could have beat. And maybe they get to the finals last year. If not for Kawhi. Like that's a realistic timeline that could have happened. And then maybe Jimmy Butler comes back and everything's a little bit different. Well, I mean, we'll never know, but I'm just saying that's not like that far-fetched. So I'm saying having two of the best players, I should say, in the conference on your team definitely helps. So that's just my one for the lower seeds. And then for the West, I think you could go with a couple. But you could go Thunder because they're at the 5 right now. I still think they're a little too young in the key spots. Like, I mean, he's been in the playoffs last year with the Clippers, but I don't know if they're ready for like the big time like the Clippers or the Lakers yet. Obviously, you got Chris Paul, you got Gallinari, you got Steven Adams, guys that have been there, but then also you got, like I said, you got Shea, you got Dort, who's a young. You got who else? You got Diallo. You got I'm trying to think. I know Terrence Ferguson's been up and down in that rotation this year. You got Andre Roberson coming back, which is interesting. He hasn't played in like 3 years, it seems like. But I mean, he's good defensively when he's on the floor, so that could help, you would think. But again, I mean, how much playing time he's going to get, who knows? Schroeder, obviously, again, he's been to the playoffs too, but you got him. Noel was good, even though he was hurt, I think, at the time when the season was suspended. Baisley, who's been good for them as a rookie. And then a little bit of minutes he's played. So you got some young guys. I don't know if they're 100% ready, though. Again, having guys like Gallo and Chris Paul that have been to the playoffs before, even Steven Adams have been in the playoffs before, been in big games, big moments before. Like, that'll help those younger guys, like the Shays or the Schroeder's, who hasn't really been... I mean, he's been to the playoffs the last couple of years, but hasn't really been that deep into the playoffs. Like the Dorts, the Diallos, the Naders, the Baisleys, even the Ferguson, the guys that are like not really accustomed to those big-time games. It'll really help to have those guys, but again, they might be... I don't know if this is going to be the year they figure it out, but hey, who knows? Like I said, the Cinderella for a reason, and they have... I mean, they were one of the best crunch time, clutch teams. They made a lot of comebacks, so you know they're never really out of it. But again, the bubble, whole different season, in my opinion. Almost. Like, it's crazy. But like, it almost doesn't feel like... This feels like two separate seasons. Because everything we thought we knew then may be the same, or maybe something totally different may happen. So, you could argue for them. I think the Rockets are probably everyone's like sleeper Cinderella team. Because again, if in a gym where there's no real crowd, just basketball, you just roll the ball out and play, that sounds exactly like the style of basketball the Rockets want to play. We're just like roll the ball out there, and we're just going to bet on our guys being better than your guys. And that's kind of what they're rolling with. And it was working out well with the small ball lineup when the season got suspended. And we'll see how Harden and Russ have looked, even though, like I said, they were showing the pictures of Harden losing a lot of weight. So we'll see about that. But yeah, so then maybe they could, if this continues to work, I mean, nobody's going to want to face the Rockets. Especially usually when everyone's like, oh, Harden always like falls off in the playoffs or whatever. But that may very well be true, but that's because he's tired from carrying the load in the regular season, which one he didn't have to do as much this year because he had Russ. Not that he didn't have Chris Paul and stuff like that before, but I mean, they basically built the offense to cater to Russ by trading Clint Capella because Harden and Clint were very good. But then just like, all right, if Russ is a non-shooter, we can have another non-shooter out there on the floor. It doesn't make any sense. Basically, you got him. You got Harden potentially in good shape, ready to go, not going to be tired. I think Eric Gordon, who was dealing with some injuries, is back healthy, fully healthy now. Maybe he got in better shape, stuff like that. So I'm saying obviously the Rockets are going to be everyone's Cinderella team, just because I think if they click, then there's no reason they shouldn't make a deep run, depending on the matchups. But then some of the lower seeded teams, because they're at like I said, the Rockets and Thunder. The Thunder at 5 and the Rockets are at 6 currently. But some of the lower teams, I think the Blazers, they get in. They're a sneaky team just because now they got Nurkic back. They got Zach Collins back. This was a team that made the conference finals last year. Like, literally last year. Granted. And then not even just granted, but they were up every game against the Warriors. Every single game. They somehow blew all those leads, but they were up every single game. Easily could have won all 4 of those games. They got that. And then, like I said, I don't know how good or bad Mel's going to be in these, but I think with some time off, able to make sure he's in great shape. Like, you can't tell me Mel's not going to have, like, 1 or 2. If he gets into the playoffs again, they have to get to the playoffs first. But if they get in, he's not going to have, like, 1 or 2 really good games. If they play long enough, I don't see that as being that far-fetched. So, again, they have some people that could be helpful, and then again, like, so you got the size back, so if they get in, they're going to be playing the Lakers in the first round. So you got to deal with Davis, you got to deal with McGee, you got to deal with Dwight Howard. Now with Nurkic and Zach Collins back, that kind of helps them combat that. Again, Anthony Davis is better than both those guys easily, but again, now you just have more tall people to throw at them. Without them, like, it was going to be a long night. It's probably still going to be a long night for them, but at least now they have more tall bodies to combat the other tall bodies. And then the last team will be, in my opinion, the Pelicans, because the Kings, they get in, I don't really see nothing. Same with the Spurs, especially, which I don't think LaMarcus Aldridge is not playing because, like, injury, so I don't know what they're going to do. And the Suns, they're too young and probably too far back to make, actually, well, no, they're only 2.5 back from the Blazers. So not impossible, but yeah, I still think they would have enough. Like, DeAndre Ayton's not enough to help with the big guys down low, and I don't know who's going to guard LeBron. So there's that, but also, I don't know who's going to guard Devin Booker. I guess, you probably put Danny Green on him because of no Bradley. But I have to put Danny Green and now Rondo. So that news kind of came down a little late that he got hurt, and I didn't know the extent of the injury when I started. So I was going to save that for Tuesday or Wednesday when you guys hear it for the next podcast. Kind of talk about that and what the Lakers are going to have to do now. Again, I don't know how Bradley seems a little bit more important to me than Rondo does because they can find somebody to give Rondo's minutes and just like facilitate the ball to Anthony Davis when LeBron's not on the court. But Bradley, for what he brings defensively, is going to be tougher to make up, in my opinion. But we'll see about that. But yeah, so the last team would definitely be the Pelicans, obviously, which again they got to get in. But Zion was able to get back in shape. People were worried about his shape. Was he out of shape? All this other stuff. Well, he's in shape now, so they were able to get that. And then again, I think just the young, fresh legs are going to help in an environment like this. With an AAU-like environment, it makes sense that a younger team would be more suited for that than like an older team that's going to need the days off and the rest in between games, where they're going to have the young, fresh legs. And also, I think it would just like the storyline in and of itself might be enough to like help. I don't want to say help motivate because again, you're in the playoffs, you wouldn't need motivation. I don't think, but it's the revenge factor of that would be pretty cool to be like, all right. Like, if you're Lonzo, if you're, who I think is going to be healthy, should be healthy now. If you're Lonzo, if you're Brandon Ingram, if you're Josh Hart, the guys even if you're Zion, who basically they were going to get the number one pick, but they were like, all right, Anthony was like, I don't want to be here even with Zion, like, I'm, like, cool, just trade me. So you're like, all right, you guys didn't want to be with us, you didn't want to play with us, fine, we'll just go beat you. And again, I don't think they will, but I'm just saying I think they'll have that. They won't have that fear, especially not having to play in like LA and different things. You're just playing on a court. Again, I think the Lakers are better, but I just feel like that fearlessness potentially could be beneficial to the Pelicans. And if they get past the Lakers, then who knows what would happen there? Because now they're playing like the Rockets or the Thunder or the Jazz. If they're playing the Jazz or the Thunder, you could argue that they could beat them. Maybe not. Probably not, but like you could argue that the Rockets, I think that's a little bit more difficult because granted they got a young team, but Zion will be able to. I mean, even though he's not that tall, he'll be able to jump the PJ Tucker. But it's just one of those things. They get past the Lakers, and it's like, all right, well then who can't they get past? It's sort of like that. So I think that's kind of, and it's the same thing with the Blazers. The Blazers get past the Lakers, and it's like, oh Lord, here come the Blazers, kind of thing. So I think whoever gets that 8th seed, Grizzlies, I think they could be all right, but I just don't think they're just definitely too young. And I don't think they have like, I think Ja would be cool, Dylan Brooks, Clark, those guys will probably be good in that playoffs, but again, I just don't think it's the same level. And even then, like at least Brandon was an all-star this year. Warranted, not warranted, you could argue, but he was an all-star this year. That's something the Grizzlies won't have. That caliber of a player. So, like I'm saying, Cinderellas are Cinderellas for a reason because it's not likely it's going to happen. But I'm just saying, the bubble is different. It's going to be different. This is not the season that we thought we were going to have, obviously. So that means the outcome might not be the same. We can't just assume that, like, oh yeah, it's going to be Bucks Lakers. It's going to be Clippers Bucks or whoever. We can't just assume that now. It would not shock any of us. Or it wouldn't shock me at least. I don't know. I don't want to speak for you guys, but wouldn't shock me if a random team comes out of this. And I don't like they're in the playoffs. It's not you're not a random team, but you get my point. Like it wouldn't shock me if a 6 seed Rockets just all of a sudden clicked in the playoffs and made it all the way to the finals, or we even won it. Honestly, none of that would surprise me. Same thing with the Sixers. Same thing. I mean, the Blazers and Pelicans might just make it deep. I don't know if they're going to beat the Clippers or the Nuggets in like a conference finals matchup. But like they could at least make it deep into the playoffs. I'm saying, like I said. So that's just my opinion. I'm more than welcome to hear your Cinderella teams, because hey, you might be a little different. Maybe you have a lot of faith in the Grizzlies or the Mavs. Maybe you have. Maybe you're a Luka Doncic guy. So maybe you think he'll be him and KP. If they get that 2-man chemistry going, they might could do something. Hey, I'm not gonna. I'm open to all opinions on that, so feel free to reach out to me about that. But after we come back, we're going to discuss this idea of spring football. I mean, we talked about it already, and we touched on it a little bit about player skipping, but just like assuming there is spring football and they have it. Well, one, I'm going to talk about like when the draft would need to be, if that's going to happen, number one. And number two, like at what point or what kind of players would be skipping? Because obviously, like the Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, those kind of guys would be skipping. But like, how far do you get down before you decide like maybe it's not worth it for him to play in the spring? So, like I said, we'll discuss all that right after the break. Stay right there.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC, Invicta FC, Bellator, and One Championship. We got the fights covered. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Spring football. As of right now, only the Ivy League is participating in spring football and has canceled their fall sports and just doing them at least football in the spring. I don't know if they're doing all the sports in the spring. Don't know exactly how that would work. But yeah, so far the only ones that have done that. So far as we talked about, the Big Ten and the Pac-12 have decided they're going to go to conference only games in the fall and also start the season a couple weeks late, though. Again, unless something changes in the next 2 months, that's probably not going to be enough. But in the event that things don't change and they have to cancel the fall season and they push things back to the spring, I mean, at what level or at what point do athletes start skipping? No, obviously, mainly we're talking about football here. But at what level or what caliber of player do we have to be to decide that, you know what, spring football, not worth it? And I guess kind of first we got to look at it from the perspective of when. Well, first we got to talk about when the draft would be. So I think personally, if I'm the NFL, I would move the draft back a little bit. Again, normally it's in the end of April, I believe. So if they're spring football, they're not going to be able to have it in March or at least not till mid to late March. It's not going to be warm enough in some places. So that means the season's not going to end until sometime in May? Question mark? Potentially sometime around there, late May, early June, something like that, depending on how many games they play. So I'm saying you're talking about that all right, move say in this random hypothetical. They move it back to Labor Day. Move the draft back to not Labor Day, Memorial Day. Because Labor Day that wouldn't make any sense. Memorial Day. So again, you can. So then that would just push the timeline of things back. Because again, I don't even know how they're going to play the full 16-game NFL season in the fall. But they're going to try. You can count on that. They're going to give it a shot. But yes, then you just push that back a little bit. And then, you still have all-season workouts and stuff. You just won't get rookies in as early as you would normally. But again, they didn't have rookies in the building at all this off-season. We'll see how it turns out on the field if there is a season. But I think, it would just to be fair in terms of, you can't just have the draft at the same time if the college football season is literally going on. Because then that makes the decision even harder. So then I'm saying just in the event, I don't think they will, but in the event that they do push it back, which I think they should do if this happens. If this scenario, likely scenario, but scenario happens, they push the draft back. All right, so if you're a borderline first round guy, you're not playing. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence not going to be out there. Justin Fields not going to be out there. Micah Parsons not going to be out there. Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle Morgan, not going to be out there. The Rosu guy from Miami, defensive end, I don't think he's going to be out there. Some of these receivers like Waddle, not going to be out there. Devontae Smith, not going to be out there. Even maybe Dylan Moses. I know he kind of needs some more film, but if you're just coming off of an ACL tear, I don't think you. I mean, again, I'm not gonna say he's gonna tear his ACL, but you don't never. That's the thing with football. You're always one hit away. Which, I mean, again, you could say that about any sports, and you're like one jump away from rolling an ankle. You're one like at bat away from getting hit by a pitch in a certain place and being like out for a long period of time. So you can say that about all sports, but again, football is one of the most violent, so the chance of injury is a little bit higher than it is in some of these other sports. So if you're Dylan Moses and you just came off a season where you missed the entire year, are you going to risk now? Even if you play some of the season, now you're going to miss the whole first year of your NFL season too. And again, obviously, you won't have any film for 2 years. But I mean, shoot, I'd rather not play and be a second, third round pick if people are that afraid of the film than get hurt and now you're a 6th, 7th round pick. I mean, I don't know if you would drop down that low, but I mean, you never know. You never know injuries. You don't really know how much or how little people are going to care about them. Kind of like when you look at, I'm trying to think of who had the big injury. Like, obviously, Jalen Smith from the Cowboys, he won the second round. Sidney Jones with the Eagles, he won the second round. Those were first round type of guys that they knew they probably going to sit out the whole year. So, again, I think who was it? Jeffrey Simmons, who ended up coming back this year. But I think was he a late first round pick? So, yeah, maybe I would be off to say that he would get picked in the 6th or 7th round, but also different from those guys is that like Sidney Jones got hurt in the last drill of his pro day. Like Jalen Smith got hurt in his bowl game. Oh, you got picked at 19. Wow, did not realize it was that high. And that was Jeffrey Simmons, obviously. Yeah, so Jalen Smith got hurt in the bowl game, but you look at like somebody like, I don't think who else got hurt in the bowl game. Like Jake Butt, the tight end from Michigan, he got hurt. And again, the tight end's a little bit different, but he wasn't like a lock top first, second round pick per se. And then he dropped down, and then now he's had injuries and stuff like that. He never really been in. Then they have to draft like Noah Fant and bring in other guys to replace him. I'm saying there's no guarantee with that. So I'm saying if he's playing like he's out, like I said, Justin Ross, the receiver, I think he might already miss the season anyway with a neck situation. So we'll see about him. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of guys. Like anybody that's a borderline guy is probably going to be sitting out. But then again, how much farther down does that trickle down to? Because you think about, okay, so obviously freshmen are going to play, sophomores are going to play, and like juniors that didn't really play that much are going to play, obviously. But I'm saying like if you're a senior and you had 3 years of film, but you came back like a Devontae Smith, where your film was fine, like he probably could have been drafted in the first round this past draft if he came out. But he chose not to. Hey, his decision. But he chose not to. Pat Fryerman was another one. Another guy that is probably... I mean, I don't know about tight ends. They may not be locks, but he's going to be like the first, second, latest, third tight end picked, I would think. I don't even know how many other tight ends are better than him. Consensus-wise, at least from the scouting community. Maybe look at like a Devontae Smith that I was talking about. Like you have a senior that's had 3 good years of film but decided to come back for his last year. Like, why would they play? Like, what's the benefit of playing? Like, all right, do the pros of moving up slightly in the first round outweigh the con of getting hurt, even if it's not significant? Even if it's just like a 3-4 month injury, getting hurt and then dropping down in the draft and losing money that way. Is that worth it? And that's kind of what I think that's what would be the spring. That's the only downside to the spring football, in my opinion, just that like the decisions players are going to have to make on their future livelihood. And then also kind of face the ramifications. Like I know a lot of people will be like, oh, he quit on the team, he did this, he did that. He may got now some coaches that may have gone to bat for you, may not be as willing to go to bat for you in these draft meetings and these calls, things like that. You never really know how people are going to react to these things. But yeah, it's a very interesting situation. Just how, like, what would be the mindset of the players heading into this? Because again, at least in theory, if you're playing spring football, it's safer. Like in terms of like the Rona, like that part of it is safe. But like everything else about football is really not that safe. And now again, no, if you get hurt during the football season, all right, you're going to be for 5 months removed, depending on how late in the season you got hurt. Like, even Tua, like, all right, he got hurt in, like, I think it was, like, November. Like, he was 5, 6, by the time the draft was up, like, he was healthier. I don't know if he was, like, perfectly healthy, I don't want to say that, but, like, he threw, he had, like, a mock pro day, everything. As opposed to if you get hurt in the spring, like, that's fresh. You're not going to be, even if it's a minor thing where it's only, like, a couple, like, 3, 4 months, you're not going to be ready till, like, training camp at the earliest. And that's assuming you get hurt, like, early in the spring season. Now we're talking about missing the whole, like I said, now you're talking about not being ready till, like, the season starts, and you're about to get drafted. So it seems like teams are like, all right, we're going to need somebody that's going to be, potentially, again, not everybody feels this way, but potentially you're going to want a guy that's going to be in a more immediate, helping be ready to go sooner. Again, maybe you don't want to wait around for 4 or 5 months for the rookie to get up to speed. And not even just up to speed, but even to get back on the field. And then obviously you have to get him up to speed from there. It's an interesting concept. And then, so like I said, then also, like, if you're, like, say you're, like a second, third round guy. Like, you're not, I know the one guy me and my dad I talked about was, like, a Journey Brown, who, if you're not a Big Ten guy or a Penn State guy, you probably didn't pay too much attention to him. And also the Penn State ran the weird, like for running backs. I mean, I don't say weird, but they had, like, him, Ricky Slade, Devin Ford, and Noah Cain. They're all good in their own right. But, I mean, Journey Brown, he only had, like, 890 yards and 12 touchdowns last year. But he also only had 130 attempts, had almost a 6.9 yard per carry. And, like I said, the late season, once Noah Cain was out and he kind of had to be the guy, he was really good in those last few games. I'm just looking over it. He ran for 200 yards in the bowl game and 2 touchdowns against Memphis. He ran for 124 and 2 touchdowns in the matchup with Minnesota. He only had 64 yards and a touchdown against Ohio State, but again, on only 11 carries. And who's the quarterback? Clifford got hurt. Obviously had a great game against Rutgers, not surprising. And also had 100 yards against Indiana. And those are just the last 5 games. Receiving didn't really do too much, but like I'm saying, his most recent game is a 16 carry, 202 yard performance for 12.6 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns. And I'm saying where you're going to be in the backfield situation again, where, like, Devin Ford, Noah Cain, those are both sophomores. They really don't have any reason to sit out, at least draft wise. They may want to sit out because they might not be saved, but draft-wise, they have no reason to sit out. So I'm saying now you're just kind of... So I'm just like, do you play and try to raise your stock up a little bit more from, like, a mid-round to, like, a second, late first-round pick? Because he's not going to... I don't think, like, with ETNs of the world, like, yeah, especially a guy like him, if he came back, he did not need to. He arguably could have been one of the first running backs off the board in his past draft. It's like, if they have the spring season, it's like, why would he play? Again, the benefit and hope that you may win a championship or something like that, which he's already won, does that outweigh the potential injury risk and the cost of, and then the damage to your future earnings? It's a thing a lot of people have to consider. So back to Journey Brown, it's like, all right, here's a guy that was good last year, but only really has 1 year worth of, like, film out there. But it's like, all right, I know I could be good. Oh, is he only a sophomore? Hold on now. I'm seeing something here. He might be a redshirt sophomore. That's what it is. Because there's no way there's no way this is the second year. Again, he was around in 2018. I was about to say. So yeah, things like a redshirt sophomore. So like he could leave after this year. I just wanted to make sure of that. But yeah, just like, all right. Now, like I'm saying, now if I get hurt, now if it's serious, then I'm missing not only this year, I'm missing all of next year too. Because that's why I think that's the concern. Like if you tear an ACL or you do something very serious like an Achilles or something like that, like you're out most of the next year, if not all of next year too. Like you're not going to be healthy again to this time the following year. So you might be ready for like draft stuff. But then again, now you will have missed 2 whole seasons instead of just missing the 1. So I'm saying it'd be interesting to look at and think about and see how these college guys maneuver this situation, if and really when, but if there is spring football. Because a lot of tough decisions will be made and a lot of people, I think, will be sitting out. Well, I don't want to say that because, again, a lot of coaches are probably like judge people and stuff like that. They'll probably try to shame them into playing. I think it was like the Clippers were like, I think Lou Williams said that they decided that either everyone's playing or no one's playing. I'm like, all right, come on. Like, that doesn't seem fair. You can't be like everyone's going to play or no one's going to play because, again, it's an individual thing. If I don't want to play, it doesn't mean I can stop you guys from playing. You guys can very well play. But that doesn't mean I feel safe and I want to play. And the same thing for these players is like, at the end of the day, like their investment to the school is one thing, but the investment on themselves is more important, in my personal opinion. Again, they're not getting paid by the school. They're not making any money from the school other than like the quote-unquote like illegal money that they get paid at some of these big programs. But outside of that, they're not getting paid. They're not really getting anything for the jersey sales, not getting anything from ticket sales, revenue, stuff like that. So I'm saying you're doing all this for free and then you're potentially hurting yourself in the future for when you could be making money if you decide to go through this. Again, you don't ever want to assume injury, you don't want to expect injury, but it's football, it happens. So you can't act naive to it. You can't be like, no, I'm gonna be fine. Like, no, it's a possibility. Something could happen to you out there on the field. But again, something can happen to you at any time. But again, in the situation where the draft is going to literally be happening right after the season ends, it's like, is it worth it to play through these games and hope I make it through clean? Like, is that worth it? Again, some people will be. It'll be interesting to see a lot of who decides that, like, this is not worth the risk. And again, not even just like the top guys. I'm talking about like mid-tier, like mid-round guys. It's like, is it worth me getting hurt now instead of going from a third or fourth round? Now I'm undrafted, or I'm a seventh round guy. And that's a big drop off in money, especially if you're undrafted. You're only on there for like the 1 year. At least when you're like a third, fourth round pick, it's not a lot of money, but it's still a 4-year contract. That's a big difference than being undrafted. I'm saying, like, if you're a mid-round guy and you get hurt or something happens to you during the season, and like I said, you drop out, now it's a significant hit to your money. Again, first round guy, if you get hurt, all right, you might still go in the second, maybe third round. But again, if you're something below that and you get hurt, you might not even get drafted at all. And like I'm saying, that's a big, big difference for you and your family and your future. So, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. Again, this is way, way down the line. We don't even know if there's going to be spring football. They're going to try to play in the fall. It's not going to work, but they're going to try. See if it does. Yeah, I'm not going to judge anything before. I hope it works, because again, I want football. But it's just one of those things where you kind of can't just assume it's going to work. So with that being said, you have to make decisions for your future, and this could be one of them. So we will see how that goes, because there might be a lot of familiar faces not out there on the field the next time we see college football. And that'll be a shame. But, in my opinion, do what's best for you, whatever that is. If that's the play, cool. If that's not the play, also cool. I won't judge you either way. But yeah, that'll do it for me here today on the GSMC Sports Podcast presented by GSMC Podcast Network. I want to thank you guys for listening. As always, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast if you liked you've heard today. Like you've heard in past episodes. Like I said, subscribe. Make sure you never miss an episode. Make sure you're always on top of when we drop our latest stuff. Also, if you could please give us a 5-star rating, nice review. Very appreciated. Very helpful. Allow us to see what you guys like, what you guys dislike, the ways we can improve, all that stuff. And also, if you're on social media, we're on social media, so you can find us there. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We can talk, we can chat, we can debate, we can discuss. Maybe you think with the spring football, it'll be a great chance for these guys to elevate themselves. I know I didn't really touch on that aspect as much. But again, maybe you think that, like, look, these second-round guys or third-round guys, hey, look, you play in the spring, you do well, now you're in the first round. And that's completely fair, too. If you think that'll outweigh whatever potential injury concern there is, hey, I'm willing to discuss that with you. If you have some other Cinderella teams that I didn't talk about, if you just think there's not going to be spring football at all, period, that you think they're going to be able to play straight through in the fall, I'd love to discuss that with you, too, as well, and why. Also, if you have any suggestions or any cool team names that you think the Washington football franchise should take that aren't, like I said, the Red Tails or the Red Wolves, I would love to hear them. Again, obviously, I'm not the one making the decision, but I think it would, just spitball some things out there, see what might sound good and see who's right. Because again, we're going to find out soon enough what the team name is going to be. We know what it's not going to be, but we're going to find out soon enough what it's going to be. And we'll see, all right, and you'll be able to be like, see, I got it right. So that'd be cool too. So if you want to do any of that, reach out to us there. Like I said, I'm always more than happy to discuss, and we're always more than happy to discuss these type of things with you guys. Before I get out of here, as I always do, shout out the essential workers that have been working throughout this pandemic, making sure everybody is safe and healthy and can buy food and get their groceries and get their packages in a somewhat timely fashion. All that stuff. And people that are working in hospitals, doctors, nurses, EMTs, people like that are literally saving lives every day. Again, shout out to you guys as well. So yeah, anybody that's been deemed essential, or even, like I said, the people that are now working at restaurants and bars and stuff that are opening back up. Hopefully people have been treating you nice. Hopefully people have been tipping you well. I've been telling them to. But again, everybody's their own person. Don't know. I can't force anybody to do anything they don't want to do. But hopefully they've been tipping you well. Because obviously I know. Same thing with if you've been able to go back to a hair salon, or been able to go back to a barbershop or get your nails done. Things like that. Any service where you normally tip the people. Excuse me. Hopefully you've been able to. Again, they've been out of work. Just like maybe you have. Again, I don't want to assume anybody's financial situation, but if you have the means and are able to tip them, hey, might as well do a little nice thing for somebody else during this tough time. I don't want to say guarantee, but I think it'll be appreciated, personally. But hey, maybe that's just me. But I've been Chris Blades. That has been my time. Before I get out of here, wear a mask. And until next time, peace out.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.